Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing Blue-Red Delver with a whole lot of burn spells. That's right, we've got 4 Chain Lightnings, 4 Lightning Bolts, and then of course our Delver of Secrets and our Dragon Rage Channeler to reduce our opponent's life quickly. We have lots of disruption in 4 Wastelands, 4 Dazes, 4 Force of Wills, and we are just going to try to put the pedal to the metal and end the game before they can get their game plan going. We also have 4 Murktide, which are pretty hard to remove for most decks, and they can come in and close even if our opponent is able to somehow deal with our first wave of creatures. We have 2 Brazen Borrowers, which can basically get anything out of the way so that we can win, and can also be flashed in to help deal the last few points of damage. This is a very powerful card. Mana base, very simple. We've got 4 Volcanic Islands. We've got an island. We've got 9 fetch lands. We've got the 4 Wastelands. And we do have 4 Mishra's Bauble, which combo both with Dragon Rage Channeler to get a Surveil trigger and to help us flip our Delver of Secrets. We will probably get to do the Mishra's Bauble trick at least once or twice during the league. And then over here on the sideboard, we've got 3 Pyroblasts and 1 red Elemental Blast. This should be a Pyroblast as well. I just didn't want to pay a bunch of money to get another Pyroblast. This card is actually pretty expensive on MTG. And we've got a Force of Negation, which helps if we go up against turn 0 combo. There's a lot of Oops All spells going around. Speaking of Oops All spells, Grafdigger's Cage, quite good against Oops. You just put it out there and they don't really have any answer to it. And of course, we got 3 Consign to Memory to help with the Eldrazi matchup, but like this is an incredibly favorable Eldrazi matchup. And one of the reasons is we have 2 Price of Progress, which can deal anywhere between like 4 and like 10 damage to our Eldrazi opponent. We also have a single Hydroblast and we have a single Meltdown. So very simple list, very linear. This is like the most linear list you're going to see me play on the Be Excellent channel probably. But I like it because it's kind of like a burn deck in that it's just killing your opponent quickly before they can really do anything. But it's way more powerful than a burn deck because it does have game against combo. As always, we're going to play a full 5 rounds. Please leave a comment with a timestamp if you see anything I can do to play better. I really appreciate it. And let's get to game 1. Round 1, we're on the play against an unknown opponent with a really solid hand. I'm snap keeping this. By the way, you're not going to see us mulligan very much. And one of the reasons is we don't have a way to get back up on cards. So mulliganing is very punishing with this deck. I am going to go ahead and start with the Volk into the Dragon Rage Channeler. And we have 2 forms of permission up. Prismatic Vista. This could be like Jeskai control, which is the Nightmare matchup, really. I don't think we interact with this. I think we just let them keep going. The reason this is the Nightmare matchup is they just have like lots of, main deck ways to remove our creatures. So what I'm going to do here, I think I'm just going to Brainstorm so I can... yeah, there's no reason not to play with this land because I don't want to get dazed somehow. This is going to give us a Surveil. We're going to try to get this Delirious. This is going to be bad in this matchup. I'm going to put it in the graveyard. Okay. These are not like super duper good. I think we put back 2 lands. Now, is it possible for us to get Delirium from here? It is not. I'm just going to attack for 1 and I'll pass. We don't have a Surveil land in the deck, and you might be wondering why. Well, because we don't want ETB tap lands. Like the first few turns are so critical for us that we can't risk having an ETB tap land. So this is an opportunity for us to go ahead and do something. I don't want to lose this. This may seem extreme, but we're not going to win if they start removing our beaters. That's going in the graveyard. Ponder's fine. End step, I am going to go ahead and fetch another Volk, and I'm just going to bolt them to get a little more Surveil. Like, we need to go fast. And as I said, this is the Nightmare matchup. Like, they're about to get to Planeswalker mana. So finding a Daze here would be pretty good. Murktide Regent, most definitely. However, we can put it in the graveyard. I think we do put it in the graveyard. And then I'm just going to bolt again during upkeep, which may seem extreme again, but we want to try to get her delirious so she can deal some damage here. We're basically just racing. I'm trying to get some card quality here. A Ponder would be insane. Daze. I don't think Daze is good enough. I want to be finding things that actually do things. Like a Ponder would be great. Even a Chain Lightning would be okay here. Okay, that's not what we wanted to see. I'm going to play it, and we're going to attack for 1. And I realize it looks comically bad. Like, why the hell are you doing all this? Like, you just dumped your entire hand. They've got 6 cards in hand. The game is going to get atrocious for us the longer it goes on, and I'm trying to play to win. Now, you could say, like, well, that Murktide would have been like a 5/5 or something. It's going to get plowed, most likely. Here's a Teferi. It would have bounced the Murktide had we played it out. They are going to bounce our DRC back to hand, probably. Yep. And yes, we could have held a Daze. We're not sure if the Daze would have worked. And in general, I just wanted to try to get Delirium. Okay, so I'm going to keep this uncracked because if we find Brainstorm, we're definitely going to be putting back that card. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start by playing a DRC. And then I'm going to attempt to bolt them. And you might be wondering why I don't bolt the Teferi. I need the Surveil here. Very good Surveil. We definitely don't want that card. And we're just going to pass. Okay, so they're plussing. This may not be relevant at all, depending on what we draw, but I think it's likely they're going to just be able to remove this. Snapcaster Mage to flashback the Prismatic Inning. This is very bad for us. They could just end this. I'm not going to quit because we could brainstorm into like multiple bolts. Yeah, they have a ton of hands, a ton of cards. I'm going to quote the Tom Nelson, legendary Delver player, says, "My deck does have card advantage in it. I win the game while my opponents still have 5 cards in their hand, and it's as though I'd drawn 5 cards myself." So yeah, that's kind of like the way I think of the deck. Tom Nelson, also a big advocate of playing. Usually he'll play like 2 of the Chain Lightnings in his blue-red Delver decks. But this is the nightmare matchup just because of all the exile-based removal and the fact that they play so many basics. Now they've got Hardcast Force Up. And again, I hope, I want you to know that I'm very sanguine. I'm not salty at all. Like, once we beat this deck twice in the previous video. Okay, looks like they might actually be on Esper, which is not as bad as Jeskai, but it's still not good for us. Okay, and I'm not going to concede. Again, we're going to learn a little more about their deck. If we had scooped, we wouldn't realize that they had black in their deck. It's going to take them a while to beat us. We got plenty of time on the clock. We're not giving away any information by continuing to play. Everybody is well acquainted with Delver. All right, and this is unusual that we draw this many land. We are an 18 land deck, and we really don't ever want more than 1 non-wasteland land when we're playing. I'm going to hold these though, because if we draw Brainstorm, these could be replaced with bolts. Underground Sea. So they do have a lot of basics, which makes me not want to bring in back to basics here. I think what I'm likely to do is just bring in a whole bunch of other type effects. Brainstorm's our best draw. Daze doesn't do it. I'm resisting the temptation. Every bit of my being wants to scoop right now, but we might learn something interesting about their deck here. Okay, what is this? Yep. Lauren revealed. All right, we're taking 2 damage. They are in no danger of running out of time. They're playing very efficiently. But we want to see what their win con is. True name. So I'm glad we didn't scoop, because now we know the true name is in the deck. Yet another. It's not a great card, frankly. Borrower can come in. They can just bounce it, but I think it's fine to do it. I'm going to just keep these in my hand and keep the dream alive of eventually using them for something. I'm also going to play these out intentionally because I kind of want them to back to basics me, just so I know that they have back to basics. I think it's highly likely they just plow this, move on with their lives. Opponent is bouncing. They're coming in for 5. Brainstorm into double bolt or even triple bolt. Still gets there. So I'm going to keep that hope alive. Okay, they're drawing another Prismatic Ending. I'm just going to play this out, and I'm going to pass. And a huge part of playing these types of decks is you're just signing up to lose to like bigger control decks. But again, I want to emphasize in the previous league that I published, I beat 2 Jeskai control, which is the worst matchup for the deck, I believe. So just being patient and playing to your outs of potentially burning them out, absolutely a way to go. Like if they crack this, for example, now they may have like Force or something like that we don't know about, but if we do draw Brainstorm into double bolt effect, we can still win. We're dropping a 2 here. Our opponent opted to discard a fetch. Murktide doesn't do it. Yeah, so we have lost the game. We'll go ahead and concede. Okay, so we're bringing in the 4 Pyroblast effects. We saw some non-basics. I'm not sure if we bring in Price of Progress. Maybe. They will be heavily incentivized to fetch basics anyway. Doesn't feel like this is the right matchup for it. I feel like Force can come out on the play, and then on the draw, we can bring it back in. Because we basically just upgraded our forces. And yes, they may have like Bowmasters and stuff like that. We just have to accept that. I'm going to run it like this. This hand is a keep. We almost never mulligan just because, again, we don't have a way to like draw new cards. So I'm fine with just hoping to waste them a couple times. I didn't see any Wastelands from them. And you may be saying, like, this doesn't present very much pressure. And I would be saying, most definitely not. But we don't want to get rid of these. Like, this pitches to Force. Actually, I guess we don't have Force in our deck. But this might be like a late game, like we Murk into Murk. Right? And I do believe this is the Brainstorm if we don't find another. Oh, we did find another land. Well, this is great. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll play this out just in case they do have Daze. Now I'm going to Brainstorm. And I'm going to be looking to put back one of the Murktides, probably one of the Wastelands. Now I'm just going to go fetch. I'm going to get another Volk. They could have back to basics, but I want the flexibility for now. I'll get the island later. We're filling up our graveyard for Murktide. Delver is fine. I actually think these are totally fine for keeps. I'm going to keep them like this. I should have stacked it differently. Now the Delver won't flip. But I do have a Ponder to set that up. That was a misplay. So what I'll do this turn is I'm probably going to, like if they fetch it on basic for some reason, which I don't think they will. I think they'll just get an island here. That's fine. Yeah, we definitely want to stack it to where we don't have Wasteland coming up because they played very disciplined. I'm glad I didn't bring in the is this the Thoughtseize? Oh, perfect. Yeah. They're bolting themselves for us. This is fine. Nothing in our deck, like you should never have Thoughtseize in against Delver decks, in my opinion, because their hand is just like everything in our hand basically does the same thing as everything else. You could argue Borrower is slightly more flexible. Okay, and they did take the Borrower, which may mean that they have like a Planeswalker coming. I'm going to start with a Ponder. It's a great rip. Unfortunately, we don't want any of these lands. I don't think the DRC... Well, the DRC is Delirious. We can't both DRC and... I'm just going to shuffle this. See what we get here. Probably a land... Oh, another Murktide. Not the worst. I will play out the Wasteland. No. I don't think I need to play out the Wasteland. They do know about it. It doesn't do anything, though. I'm just going to play this out. All right. And then next turn, if it flips, great. If it doesn't, we'll just Murk. Sometimes they... Okay, there we go. That's a non-basic. I can hit that. All right, that's fine. I'm glad they're doing that to that and not to our Murktide that's going to come down. Scary cards that they could have. Baleful Strix. Another waste. I'm just going to start with this. And we're going to go ahead and Murk here. We've got a backup Murk, so I think I'll just not take all the... I'll go like that. Actually, we do have 2 sorceries in our hand, so I guess I'll go for the sorcery instead of the instant. Okay, great. So again, they could have like another plains into another plow. Right. They're pondering, probably trying to find a solution to Murk. They don't know that we've drawn a second Wasteland. They do find the plains. They do have the plow. That's fine. We're just going to keep trucking. They're down to 4 cards. We're at 4 cards. So they've answered all our cards on par, basically. Now we're starting to draw bad cards. I'm going to ponder here first. These are all really good cards. Unfortunately, none of them... none of them really get us where we need to go. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put Chain Lightning on the bottom, Pyroblast, and I'm just going to quickly draw through this Bauble because I do want that blast. And I want to fill up my graveyard. Okay, they're drawing a land. It is a wastable land, which makes me want to go ahead and play out the Wasteland just in case I decide to have more lands up. Yeah, I think it's fine. Now, basically, their land is going to be one shot, and they know it. So we're going to draw the Pyroblast, and we'll Pyroblast a Planeswalker if they put a Planeswalker out. Kaito. True Name. Let's blast that. If they force here, that's okay. They are forcing. All right, so we're going to have to race this, but we have 25 life. I think we'll be okay. They're down to 1 card. What did they pitch to force? They pitched it to Fairy. Okay, so they did have the Planeswalker. All right, and now we're drawing, if I recall, like a burn spell. So I'm just going to go ahead and waste them. I'm going to go ahead and bolt them now. And then I'm going to go ahead and play out this Murktide. And if they can answer it, they can answer it. Like, sadly, that's just par for the course. If they drew enough plows, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 7/7. That's a 2-turn clock. They've got. Oh, I've got to pay one more. I'll use this. I'll keep an artifact in the yard. And if we can get even 1 swing in, we'll make them less comfortable, and we can bolt them. They're brainstorming. This has protection from Be Excellent. Stoneforge, that's fine. If they get Caldera, we'll just bolt it. Actually, do we even need to bolt it? We might just bolt them directly. I'm not worried about Caldera. If they get, what's it called? Yeah, they're getting Caldera. Interesting. Caldera can be equipped to their True Name, but yeah, I think we can just ignore the Caldera because we're dead. Let's see what we draw. Okay, Pyro. We don't know what the last card in their hand is. I think it's unlikely that this Murktide, that this wins the game. And hitting this does make it a little awkward for them. It's just a 1-for-1 exchange. I do want to be able to draw to other wins, and Caldera does shut the door pretty quickly. Because then we're taking 8 each turn instead of just... Yeah. So we have Blast for Teferi. Okay, yeah, they scoop. All right, so that strategy worked. They were incredibly disciplined in terms of deploying things, but I think, just being on the play and not mulling, it worked out well for us. On the draw with Delver against these kinds of control decks, I generally just take out my Dazes. They do get pretty bad. I don't know. I mean, maybe we keep 2 forces in, because Daze can convert. It's just that, I do want to be able to stop plows on Murktide, and Force can do that in a way that Daze likely can't if the game goes on. Game 3, this is precisely the kind of hand we want to see. I'm keeping this. Threat rich. Interaction. In my experience, you start with Delver. Then if they get rid of the Delver, that actually helps make it easier to get DRC out. Wow, second DRC. This is great. So yeah, they can actually waste us off this, but I haven't seen a Wasteland in the previous games, and I'm going to presume that because they are playing a higher curve deck, they're not playing it. The reason I say that is like you may be tempted to ponder to find a second land, but I think in this matchup it's wrong to do so. You just want to keep jamming threats. Can't do anything about that. I will ponder for a land here before I play a 1-drop. Hopefully I find a land. I've got a lot of fetches. Okay, perfect. These cards are great. I don't want to let them go, but yeah, we're going to let them go so we can get this this DRC on the table. Actually, let's go ahead and get... did I say that I was going to play the Delver first? And then I just proceeded to play the DRC. Yeah, I'm gonna play the Delver here. And I do think it's possible that they get a back to basics here, and I want to make sure I don't get completely locked out. It does make it harder for us to cast some more spells. Yeah, I don't want to get locked out by back to basics. Like a lot of people, like I don't think back to basics is a good card, but a lot of people play. It's like way overplayed. And the kind of person, no offense to my opponent, but the kind of person who's likely to be playing True Name Nemesis is also likely to be playing back to basics. Especially the aggression with which they've fetched basics here does give me a vibe that like maybe they think back to basics is a live draw. We can't do anything about this. All we can do is race it. Or we could find Brazen Borrower. Brazen Borrower could bounce the Caldera Complete token. They get pre-war, which is good when you have stuff in your graveyard, but we're not going to put anything in their graveyard. We're just going to keep it flying over their creatures. I don't think they presented any creatures with flying. Right. This is a situation where we could aggressively flip it. I think I'm going to do that. Like, I don't advocate for doing this, but it feels right here. We've got plenty of things we can put on top. Okay, there's the Brazen Borrower, but they could already have Caldera in hand, and that would be a reason why they got pre-war. Definitely don't want this. I will reveal that I have a Pyroblast, so we can flip this. Yes, we're going to reveal. Okay, now we draw. Okay, I'm going to play this out. I am going to go ahead and play out the DRC. We're going to attack. If they put Caldera in, that's fine. They're going to get a hit with it. And then we're going to attempt to borrow the actual token. So we just have to be sure to remember to fetch in the upkeep. I usually wait till upkeep to fetch, so I've always got something up. Okay, this is great. We've got a Wasteland for that. Okay, this is Caldera. They wouldn't put anything else in. There's nothing else to put in. Yep. My Stoneblade player instincts were correct that this would be the reason why they would go get. And I have played Stoneblade a lot on the channel. I'm not sure that it's well positioned right now, but it is something you can do. Okay, so they are plowing that, which is fine. Actually, that's not a big deal because we're not actually that close to having Delirium. So we do have a Wasteland on top. Do I want it? I don't think I do. I want more action, like a Murktide or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and fetch. Grab a Volk. Draw for turn. Another Pyroblast. All right. I am going to go ahead and just... I'm going to borrow now, because if they do have like a... let's just bounce that. We can... Okay, this could be a trap. I'm not going to blast this. I'll blast the Force if that's what they do. But I'm not blasting cantrips even with 3 blasts in my hand. I think that's not correct. And again, one of the reasons I did this now... I play around Hardcast Force. I don't think they have Daze. Okay, so now we have a second threat that we can deploy, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and waste this now. I don't want them to go ahead and tap with it. I'm going to attack, and we're going to pass with Blast Up. And it'll be hard to get this into play, but it's more important to restrict their mana than it is for us to get this out. We are doing damage here. If they remove this, we don't have a clock anymore. Okay. They have a lot of ways to destroy us here. That is going to be blasted. If they spell pierce that, that's just how it is. Okay, great. Ponder. So they did sequence these well because they, we could have blasted one of their cantrips, and then we wouldn't have had the mana up to do this. So stopping Teferi is very important against your flipped Delver. You want that on the table, attacking. So if we draw a card, it's actually, or if we draw a land, it's actually not that bad right now. Wasteland, of course, being very, very reasonable draw here. We're winning the race. They're down to 2 cards. If those are blue cards, we have them covered. Murktide. I do think we deploy a Murktide here. I'm going to attack first. Blue, blue, Murk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll leave the Wasteland in the yard. Just maybe they think that we have some way of recurring it. We don't. Stoneblade is a tough matchup for this deck. Lorien revealed to go get a land. I'm not sure what land they're going to go get here. Okay, a Tundra. So they could have, well, I'm not sure what they could have, like Supreme Verdict. That would be a disaster. I don't think they'd play that in their Stoneforge Mystic deck, though. This could be Jace. I would love to blast a Jace. It's been far too long since I blasted a Jace. We are going to blast this, though. Counter target spell if it's blue. They have 1 spell left. If it's a plow, we still play. We won. All right, and that's how this deck works. You just be freaking fearless, and you can win matchups that on paper would look incredibly unfavored, like 4 plow, probably some number of Snapcaster Mage, some number of Prismatic Endings. But yeah, like just be sheer ferocity is how you win with Delver. That's what I've learned. I've tried playing it like a control deck and being like, oh, well, I'm going to ponder and see if I can find interaction for if they have this and this. No, you just have to jam a lot of times and hope that the top of your deck delivers something. Of course, you do have Brainstorm and Ponder to sift through things. And of course, you have Dragon Rage Chandler to help you filter as well. But at the end of the day, you're not going up on cards. As Tom Nelson says, the way that Delver has card advantage is I end the game while you still have 5 cards in your hand. And that is like, I drew 5 cards. Tom Nelson, of course, Dallas-based, previously Dallas-based. Now he's up in Pittsburgh, actually. So you'll probably see him in Eternal Weekend. Older gentleman, very knowledgeable of Delver. He's been playing Delver for more than a decade, like since Delver Secrets was printed. So that's what I've learned from him. And that's one of the reasons why we're rocking the Chain Lightning, because he advocates for having Chain Lightning. And we'll see situations later in the games probably where if I drew some reactive spell like a Spell Pierce or, Consign to Memory or something that was like main deck, that's a card that I can't immediately cast and it can't be delved with my Murktide, or it doesn't fuel Delirium. So we're going to be trying to not have reactive cards in our hand and be as proactive as we can. We're up against Mesh and we are going to be on the draw in round 2. As of a week ago, MASH was playing a turbo build without any frogs, even though, so pre-ban, they weren't playing it. This is being filmed after the ban. And 3 Teferi. That's pretty interesting. Jace Wielder of Mysteries, and 1 Oracle. So other potential win cons, 2 Edge of Autumn and Flusterstorm main deck. Interesting. Double Thoughtseize. 3 days is standard. They do have Lion's Eye Diamond. They do have 3 One Ring. So we're almost certainly going to be bringing in all of our consigns if they are indeed on. This hand is totally fine. Like, you just want threats against Doomsday. Countering the Doomsday itself is great, but if they mull into like a turbo Doomsday hand, sometimes you can surprise them by just jamming a whole lot of threats down their throat. But I don't think mulling to a force is the way to win. Leave a comment with a timestamp if you disagree with that statement. I'm very new to Delver. This is like my 3rd league ever to play with Delver. And I could totally be wrong on that. But my understanding and my theory crafting and stuff before this match, I was like, all right, if I go up against Doomsday, I'm just going to hit them really hard so they can't win off Doomsday. And, save your burn for after they Doomsday. And it's basically like you doubled the burn. Oh, this may not be Doomsday. I'm not sure what this is. This could be Breakfast. Okay, now it's looking more like 8 cast. Candy Trail, interesting. All right. Well, if this is a Chalice of the Void deck, they just played their 1-drop, so Chalice of the Void could come out here, and that would be devastating. in these matchups. My understanding, again, is that you lead on Delver just because, yeah, I'm going to lead on a Delver. Bulk into Delver, and hopefully that'll flip and hit for 3, but DRC is definitely not hitting for 3 next turn. And if this is countered or somehow removed in a non-exile way, then that counts toward Delirium. LED. Is this Painter? Is this mono blue Painter? We haven't seen any blue yet, but I'm getting blue vibes. I can't imagine this being played in like a Black Saga Storm type deck, but maybe... Oh no, are we going to get spun? We are. All right, we're probably going to lose. They know exactly what we're playing. We don't know what they're playing. Okay, we got a lot of good stuff with that. So this waste for the Urza Saga is not bad. I think I can go DRC and Urza Saga. They got another Urza Saga. We could definitely die to Construct Beats here. But we do have Borrower for one of them. That's fine. I'm going to hope that they go all in on some crazy line and I can force. Still not showing the storm count for whatever reason. Okay, it looks like this is a Beseech, and I'm going to force this. All right, I'm going to force pitching Daze because they have access to plenty of mana, and I do want to be able to borrow their token. Is that correct? No, I'm gonna pitch Borrower. I may come to regret this. Okay. They're down to 3 cards. Okay, another Mox. So they can create the construct here. But we are going to waste this other Urza Saga. So one of their lands will go away. Okay, they put a Tendrils behind it. So they must have Burning Wish, or they're just hoping to get their off constructs. If we can flip. Yes! Such a good flip. Yes, sign me up. So Force coming into the grip. I'm going to go ahead and waste here. I think we hit... Oh, man. This is tough. Okay, let's think about this. So if we hit this one, then we definitely don't need to face any more constructs. Because they're just going to be able to make one construct and then they won't have mana to... Wait. Upkeep. They could make a second construct. They have 1, 2... Yeah, so if we hit this, then they don't make a second construct. I think what I'm going to do is I'll just attack first. Then I'm going to deploy the DRC. Yeah, I think I'm going to hit this. They are going to be able to go get like, Lion's Eye Diamond and spin us again. If they want to. I'm going to go ahead and set a stop here just in case they don't make a construct for some reason. I imagine they are. All right. They're making it. That is fine. Now I'm going to hit this. They won't have the mana. Oh no. Oh no. I screwed up. I didn't realize it was going to... Oh, because I don't have the stop in the end step. All right, well, I'm going to hit this before they get the ability to make another one. They're going to just make it now. No, wait, they don't have... They do have Metalcraft. Okay, so I screwed up really badly here. I didn't have a stop in my end step. Pokemoki told me to take out the end step stop because he thought it was just not good. And it's like a waste of time. Well, it would have been really good there because I needed to stop them from being able to make this construct. So now they are racing me. Yeah, this is catastrophic. See what they get. If they get like a Shadow Spear, we're dead. All because of that stop. That's embarrassing. So sorry, my most excellent friends, for letting you down there. I definitely should have just wasted. Okay, and they're going to... Yeah, these are 5/5s, and we are getting raced. And it doesn't even matter that they don't have the combo. They've got these giant constructs. They would only have one, and it would be smaller. Now it's even bigger. Yeah, this is an embarrassing way to die. When we just had it and we wanted to wait for them to make the thing. All right. So if we draw like a Murktide, we could still be in it. Because Murktide, no, we can't. Murktide's not big enough. I don't... Brazen Borrower is a path out. You always have to focus on what your outs are. That's not a path out. I think we're dead. I like just deterministically. Like we can chomp, but it's not going to work. That was so bad. All right. I do think this is a good matchup. I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to not forget that I don't have to stop in my end step anymore. If you don't know what I'm talking about, MTGO, like if you want to be able to have priority, you have to do stops. But you have to click through our stops, and they eat up your clock. Like every stop you click through is like 2 or 3 seconds. So Pokemoki recommended I remove some of these to increase the likelihood that I wouldn't run out of time in these matchups. So I'm going to do this. We are going to bring in Meltdown. It's pretty good. We're not going to bring in Price. It's just too slow. Cards that we can take out. Chain Lightning's not fantastic. We cut those and then could cut an island. That does lower our lands to a pretty dangerous level. I think I'm going to take out a Bolt as well. Let's see. They do probably have Bowmasters in their deck. We didn't see it, but it's probably in there. I think maybe taking a Bauble out is correct when they have Bowmasters and keeping a Bolt. Yeah, because this doesn't affect our blue count. All right, it'll be a little harder to get Delirium, but I'm not too worried about it because I think Murktide is likely going to be the card that we use. Murktide's big enough that it can potentially wall their constructs for a while, and then when we have enough damage on the board, we can swing in. Okay, this is DRC start with Bauble. This is absolutely a keep, even if we don't have a force. I'm just going to snap keep with confidence and make them think that, oh, he just got a force. But no, we did not get a force. Okay, I'm going to start with DRC here. And then we're going to Bauble, and we're going to hope to find a force. Consign is a great pickup. I'd love to put that in the yard, but I'm actually going to wait till the next turn because I don't want them to Thoughtseize the Consign out of my hand. And then I can crack the Bauble and draw it. And also I'll have a little more insight into whether they're capable of doing Bowmasters. Because if they have like Lotus Petal into Bowmasters and don't do anything, then that is telling of a potential... Oh, Therapy on top? Yeah. Okay. So we get our card. Now we draw our card for turn. Okay, Daze is a great pickup. I think most likely they have Ancient Tomb on top. That's why they're doing what they're doing. Or they just want to go get a... Well, I'm going to attack for one here. Trying to think of like, what could they cast that with Consign that is worth me not having Delver? We're not sure that Delver's going to flip, but we have a Daze now. I think we can potentially outrun their constructs. We can consign the LED trigger. Next turn, we can actually consign both them creating a construct and them. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and play this out. And this may seem aggressive, but my thinking is if they do have Ancient Tomb, they are going to create a construct, which we can't do anything about. But after they create the construct, the following turn, the ability is going to go on the stack, and then they go and they make the dude, and I can counter both of those triggers with one consign, and that feels good. So we're going to have a lot of damage coming in, especially if we can get Delirium here. That's fine. So here comes Ancient Tomb probably, or a series of Moxen that will enable the deployment of constructs. Felmire, shocking in. I will absolutely Daze Bowmasters here if they try to poke one of my dudes. Okay, nothing. So I do think that they likely have Bowmasters. They just want to see what we're drawing. Yes. And there's the Bowmasters. We're going to bounce this back to hand, and we're going to attempt to counter Bowmasters. And we're going to keep this on top with the confidence that they don't have a way to stop us stopping their Bowmasters. Because we do want to flip the other Delver. I'm not sure that they... Yeah, okay, great. Yes, we want to reveal the Brainstorm. Okay. That mana is going to burn off. I think we do... If we find a Wasteland, that's good. I can hit the Felmire. Can we get sorcery into the yard? We can. Now we have Delirium. Okay, let's draw some cards. I'd love to find a fetch. Bolt is not atrocious. We don't need two Murktides. I think we hit the Felmire. This saga goes away. They spin. It's not that big of a deal. We've got like so much pressure. Yeah, like it'll be interesting to see if there's anything they can do to kill us at this point. LED into Echoes, into like them doing something crazy. Like with Vexing Bauble out of the format, this feels a lot safer than it would have felt otherwise. They are floating and searching. We could have consigned this instead of wasting them, but I just wanted them to have like even less mana. If they LED into Echoes, again, it's not the end of the world. We've got them dead on board. And we may draw like a force. They have another. They still got that one floating. They're going down 6 cards to do this. Okay, yeah, and they are going for it. So Echo. Yep. Let's see what we find here. We did find a force. That's great. And we have Bolt. Even if they're able to get rid of some of our stuff, that's fine. I'm not going to stop that. I'm going to stop the business spell. I haven't seen any green, so I think this force will likely resolve. We have put so much pressure on them. They put a Thoughtseize into exile here. This does potentially kill our Dragon Rage Chandler. But the main thing we need to stop is not this. It's them going through their entire deck. Because we do have the Bolt to kill them. If they LED into Echo, I just force, and I think the game's over. Yep. And they did not have a way to stop this, so they are going to be dead here. Right? I'm going to go ahead and play out a land and just attack. There's nothing they can do. Okay, we do have a stop in our second main phase, and now I'm all paranoid about it. And let's just bolt them to death. Yeah. Short work. All right. Let's see if we can do that again. Again, I think game 1 would have been 100% ours if I had not just wasted, if I just wasted like and not sat around. But once they got the giant constructs, that was problem town. It is a totally legitimate question, by the way. Why are we not playing Grafdigger's Cage, which stops the spin effect? We definitely could play it. I mean, it would be like a color, like Bolt was pretty good there, like ended the game a turn earlier. It probably wouldn't have mattered though, frankly. I like having Bolt in there just in case they are able to get a Bowmasters on the table. Yeah, I think we just run it back. Daze may seem really bad on the draw, but you know, they're frequently constrained on mana because of things like Lotus Petal. Daze can be good. Bauble does get DRC Delirious, which did matter there. I mean, we did some extra damage thanks to that. This is a snap keep, but I'm not going to make it sound like a snap keep because I want them to go all in on a forcible play. They don't have protection generally, other than like Thoughtseize. But if they go all in on like some crazy play, because a lot of times like they may just think we have nothing. Okay, Thoughtseize here. Cobalt Therapy. It's fine. They're going to name Force probably. That's the correct thing to name like 90% of the time. The speed with which... Oh yeah, they did name Force. Okay. So we're naked now, but we figured that was the case. You kind of like sign up for that. All right, so we definitely want to get this Bauble out of the way because they'll have interaction here. I'm going to go ahead and do it and see what they're drawing. Like, it's not worth trying to do the trick with Delver of Secrets when they could have a Bowmaster. Okay, so Felder Profane. Okay. I think what we do here is they know we have Brainstorm. They could try to flash back. I don't like playing out Delver here, and my reasoning is Delver can get poked by Bowmaster before it flips. I want to make sure that we're like clear of Delver. I'd rather play out a Volk and have Brainstorm up. And also, if we play this out, then they know what we drew for turn. This is a blue card to pitch to Force. We can win the game with a big Murktide later. I don't even want to Brainstorm this turn because, oh wow, they've got like Metalcraft just for these lands. That's pretty good. Shadow Spear is fine. If they ever get any constructs, it's going to be a nightmare. They are almost certainly holding Delver now. Or, Orcish Bowmaster. So I definitely want to wait. I have so many bad cards I need to shuffle back. I'm going to hold the Wasteland for later. I'm just going to play this out and pass. And this may seem extremely passive. I was talking about how do we win? We just keep jamming stuff. But that's not when you're playing against a combo deck. Like, we have to control now. Okay, and they are very clearly signaling that they have Bowmasters and they just want to Bowmaster my Brainstorm, which I'm not going to give them that luxury. Okay, we're close to potentially Murktiding here. And Murktide will be good. I think we just play out. If we play out Wasteland, it's the land we want to play out. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And eventually they may get impatient and play the Bowmasters, and then we can get our perfect Brainstorm and shuffle stuff back. Because we want to shuffle these two lands back very badly. Our top decks are much better than theirs. They don't know that we're not getting like insane top decks here. Okay, Ponder. We could Ponder to bait out the Bowmaster, and then we could Brainstorm on top of it, and then they just get one token. And we have more power on our Murktide. I think I want to do that. They could have double Bowmaster, which would be really scary. Okay. Lightning Bolt is not particularly great. I think they know we have the Brainstorm, so they're being very patient, which I applaud them to do. For doing. I mean, I think we shuffle this. Meltdown. Seems good. Let's go ahead and do it. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do it like this. So I can get the Shadow Spear as well. That is a 5-for-1. Here comes the Bowmasters. Wait, what is this? 4 mana? Right by. Let's pass. If they Brainstorm, if they Bowmasters here, I will just, I'm just going to, well, let's think about this. If we go for the Brainstorm here, there is the chance that they have another Bowmasters and we'd be pretty screwed. But we have a Brazen Borrower to deal with the actual thing. I think I'm going to go ahead and get this Brainstorm out of my hand. I think it's quite likely that they do have a second one. Just let the record show. But if we get a Daze, we can hit the second one. Do you have a second one? Okay, they didn't have a second one. That is freaking awesome. Okay, so they're going to have a Bowmasters. Not that big a deal. Daze becomes incredible now. We don't need the extra Delver. We don't really need this land. Did I play a land already this turn? Let's take a look. I did. So we are going to redraw one of these cards. We'll redraw the Delver just because it pitches to Force. Yeah, and they do have Cabal Therapy, so I do have to kind of respect. They're going to ping us. They've got I mean, we're not out of the, as crazy as it sounds, like getting a 5-for-1 basically, we're not necessarily out of the woods yet. Because they can still LED into, what's it called? Echo of Eons, and we'll just be back where we were. But if their land is like a, an Urza Saga, we've got Wasteland to cover that. Okay, they have a land. They're shocking it in. They're thinking about it. Okay, they didn't shock it in. They need to name Murktide or they're dead here. Because Murktide is just going to completely crush them. And when I say name, they need to flashback Cabal Therapy, naming that. But if they do that, I will definitely... Okay, interesting. I think they made a misplay by not just getting rid of my Murktide. So there is a risk that... I'm going to play this out first. I think we can safely hit this. I just don't want them to have any mana ever. Blue. Let's Murk. 1, 2, 3, 4. They totally could have just flashback Therapy and tried to take it. I mean, I would have dazed it, but they didn't know that. And if they'd just shocked in the land, I think they were greedy for preserving the life total. Because I do recall them knowing that Murktide was in my hand. I did Brainstorm and I could have shuffled it away, but I'm not going to shuffle it away when my graveyard's as stacked as it is. And I'm just going to keep the mana up to use Brazen Borrower in the event that they somehow do have a way to wheel me that I can't counter. I need to be able to get that out of play before we take a bunch of pings. So yeah, I'm just going to be patient here and not play out any other cards. I will shuffle my deck because I don't want to draw yet another land. Okay, Urza Saga. Yeah, that is a card that it's a land that goes away. I'm not too worried about it. All right, let's shuffle. Yeah. Bye-bye. Come in for a little hug. Big dragon hug. It's big dragony arms. He is built like a swimmer. Look at him. Very lean. But I guess he swims through the murk. He's extremely shallow watered cave. Splish splash, I was taking a bath. Felmire, no choice but to shock it in if you want forward momentum. Or you cannot. All right. I am not going to blink here. I'm just going to keep attacking with a Merc and taking these little chip shots. Bauble, pretty bad draw. I'm just going to attack. 2 from death. I will play it out, but I'm not going to crack it. It's probably worth playing the Delver at this point. Just because it's, we've got plenty of mana to use the Borrower. I just want to be able to potentially flip and have like a second threat. Also, I could just trade this for the Bowmaster if they attack in. I'll happily do that. They're going to need a miracle. Good games, they said. Great games. Match. Best of luck with the Black Saga Storm. And may you not encounter Delver too many times in the leagues. Oh, this deck. I love just destroying land combo decks. Like, that felt really good. Let's go to game 3. Round 3. We are 2-0. All right. We are on the draw versus a likely Necrodominance player in round 3. We have the Force Hand. Is it going to be enough? We will see. If it isn't, then that's fine. But, in the blind, keeping a Force Hand is totally fine. We have a blue source. We can get Delver developed. We have a Wasteland. We can reduce the likelihood of them being able to rebuild. Yeah, it looking pretty much like the deck. Yet another turn 0 type. Brainstorm or Dark Ritual. They kept 7. They probably have like Pact of Negation or something like that. I will say this is a good matchup against combo, but it's nothing like the matchup of what's it called? Of Stoneblade. Stoneblade having Stifle in addition to everything else. Just chef's kiss when you can stifle the Necrodominance trigger. Looks like they're Cabal Ritual. Yeah, that's fine. Necrodominance. We have to counter that. I don't think it really matters what we do here. Delver is easier to resolve. I'm going to pitch the Murktide here. Okay, that worked. They've got 2 cards left in hand. We can bounce this back to hand. I am going to just play a DRC and hope that they don't have like land, second Necrodominance. That would be bad. We're not going to have... Maybe we do want Delver instead of DRC here. DRC does guarantee that we're going to get to filter, though. I think that's more important because I want to bolt them and filter into something good. Yeah, we're not out of the woods yet. Yeah, third land. Second one? No, they don't have red. They don't have black mana. They need triple black. I'm going to waste... If I get a chance, I'll waste something. They're going to draw a card. Okay, and they're passing. This is pretty predictable once you stop their initial thing. It's a glass cannon deck. That doesn't mean they can't rebuild, though. I think we just hit the vault because this is going to die next time. Do we want to... If we bolt first, we have a chance of revealing something. That, yeah, there we go. We're hitting for 3. So if they do Necro, they're going to be doing it from a lower life total as a result. And this is, a testament to the power of Chain Lightning. I'm going to go to the black source. They do have like random cards that they cast that, and then I can potentially bounce this back to hand and further stifle their mana development next turn. That's probably a better use of my turn than deploying a Delver. Delver also pairs with Force. 3 cards in hand. They played a ETB tap land. Passing. Okay. I'm definitely going to bounce the Mox. I don't think it's like a really strong play, but the other option, of course, is we wait for them to get like a Necrodominance out and then we bounce it. I think just bouncing this is fine, though. It restricts our options. And we get to Surveil again. Let's keep it. Okay. They've effectively got a land, a mountain, and a lotus petal. Cabal Ritual, do they have it? They do have it. Yep. All right. We'll see if they hit their fail rate. They can draw 10 cards. There's a Mox. I'm not sure why they're casting it now. Do they have a card to put under it? Oh, they do. A Pact. Interesting. Okay. So here they draw their cards. And I think from here we'll just F6 and we'll narrate as the sparks fly. They have 1 mana available. But usually even if they go to 19, draw 19 cards, it's not like a lock. They're not guaranteed to win. So they still have to have a lot of stuff go right here. Okay, we won. All right. That felt good. I mean, no offense to Hateroxy, but again, I'll go on my little spiel that I think these turn 0 decks are bad for the meta. And it makes, like, this stuff belongs in Vintage. Get this stuff out of Legacy is my general sentiment. I think the Epic Storm is fine. Occasionally going off on turn 1, like once out of every 10, 15 games or something, is different than like having a deck that's designed to just go off on turn 1. Like I think it's fundamentally unfun. Consigned Memory is not great. It does kind of stop the trigger. Force of Negation is obligatory. I don't think Grafdigger's Cage does anything. The Blast don't do anything. Meltdown, not great. They do have some cards that can be blasted. I think we could like take out Chain Lightning. I mean, it wasn't bad there for sure, but we're going to be on the draw this time. Even less likely to get a turn. I don't think Bolt's going to matter a whole lot. Bauble does let us get information and potentially get a little closer to DRC. It also reduces the size of our deck a little bit. I'm loath to take out any blue cards, so I'm going to leave those. I think I'm going to go like this. Actually, so they do have Pacted Negation in their deck. All right, hear me out. We're going to bring these in just in case we get a turn. I think it's better than Bolt. I don't think Bolt is super good. We still have threats. Murktide can clean up, but importantly, Murktide is blue. Yeah, unfortunately, the whole game revolves around the first turn. And in this case, like turn 0, because their deck is designed to beat you when you don't have any resources at all to fight back. This is a good hand. I'm not going to keep immediately because I wanted to think that like I'm laboring over it. Again, I always say this, but like I just want to explain to you, like I think this is a really good practice. It's just think for 20 or 30 seconds. You're not going to run out of time. 22 minutes on the clock. Yeah, if they have, I think I'm going to keep it. Well, I mean, I'm definitely going to keep it, but I'm going to go and click keep now. So this makes it harder for them to rebuild. And if they are not going to go off immediately, it's fine. If they have the Pact, they just win. So I will force here. I'm going to pitch one of my Dazes because I'm not going to be able to use it next turn. What I'm going to do next turn? Oh, wow, that worked. Yeah, just got lucky and had Force in our hand both games. I think because we have Daze, let's just go for it. I think it's unlikely that they're able to deploy a second one through a Daze next turn. I want to put something on the board so we're doing something proactive. But I expect this game to play out similar to the previous game where maybe they do find another Necrodominance despite the fact that they have 0 card selection in their deck. In theory, it should be extremely difficult to find even one Necrodominance. 40% in your opening hand, but they did have it. Being on the play was huge, by the way. So the other card that they have is Beseech the Mirror, which is a way that they can go get Necrodominance. It's worth noting Consign only buys us 1 turn, though. It's not a great card. But it does stop the actual storm at the end of the chain. And we can replicate it if we have enough mana so that even if they have packs, it's not going to matter. Duress. We could Daze this and force them to pay more mana because they're almost certainly going to just take Daze. That also does give us a look. But I'd be really embarrassed if they're just like, okay, and now I'm going to Dark Ritual and yeah. Maybe they take the Consign. I don't know. I don't want to throw away a Daze like this. But like the value is them not knowing it's there. And if we find a Wasteland, we're going to waste that gemstone all the same. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I get a Surveil trigger. That is definitely going in the graveyard. I'm glad I didn't draw that card. That would be terrible. And now they have to consider paying, and they are paying. So now they get to take our Consign, which doesn't really matter that much. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. And that did like take 1 off the life of that gemstone. All right. So I'm going to try to ponder into something here. I'll keep the Polluted Delta up just in case I get a Brainstorm later. This is going to give us Delirium, I believe. Consign is above average draw. Murktide is not great. I guess the question is, do we want to keep any of these? Is Consign worth keeping Murktide for? I think it is. And I shouldn't draw it this turn. I misstacked. I should draw the Murktide this turn. Wait, how do I not have... Oh, I don't have a creature. Okay, I'm just attacking for 1. That's kind of disappointing. I thought I had 4. Sorry, my most excellent friends. Okay, red in the pool. They can Manamorphose and potentially do it. Okay. I'm going to be so sad if they rip this Consign out of my hand. Another Manamorphose. So this is like the essentially like the selection they have is to just draw a little bit faster toward their card. They also have Born on a Wind. Okay, they have black mana. They could cast it. They could cast Beseech here. Another Necrodominance. All right. We're probably dead. I'm just going to F6. Yeah, they found it. The odds of them finding 2 is like probabilities while they're doing this. Okay, the chances of them finding 2 Necrodominance in the top 10 cards of their deck, which I believe is how many they've looked at, 12.6%. So it's not likely. It is very hard for them to rebuild, but sometimes they will rebuild. Don't get salty. Just know that it's a possible thing that can happen. Okay, they are storming off. I presume that they have the win. They have Tendrils, Valakut Awakening. They're putting back a whole bunch of cards. I mean, sometimes they just hit their fail rate. But they drew 18 cards. So another couple of ritual, 10 more cards they're looking at. Another ritual. Do they have I think they played 2 Tendrils. So they have to use Volcult and stuff like that to find it. Beseech. Okay, now they've got Tendrils. So the game's over. They did Thoughtseize, our Consign out of our hand. It didn't really matter that I misstacked that Ponder. Yeah. I'll just save them clicking. All right. Game 3, we are going to be on the play, so we have a little bit of additional flexibility. I would say this is probably like a 70-30 matchup, like that we should win 70% of games, 70% of matches. But that doesn't mean that we couldn't lose, you know. I don't think Meltdown comes in. I think our deck is probably exactly the way we should have it. Pyroblast is pretty terrible. It does stop Born Upon a Wind. But like if the game ever gets to that point, like how do they get that far? But we don't have any more blue cards to bring in. Yeah, I'm just going to submit. By the way, you may be asking about like Beseech. They exile it, so they're not casting it from their library, so Grafdigger's Cage doesn't stop it. As far as I know, they have nothing that accesses cards in their graveyard because they're just not like, they don't have a lot of good cards in their graveyard generally. Hydroblast and Consign. This is not good enough. Pyroblast and Consign. With Double Delver, I think we just need to keep mulling until we find a force, frankly. They're mulling to 6. Daze is not a terrible card, but this is another mulligan. I mean, it's sad that this is how the game works. I'll stop kind of like complaining, but it's just really sad that like people make, like you have to play Force of Will. If you're not playing Force of Will, you're crazy. There's the force. Keep this. We put back everything. We put back 2 lands. And we probably put back the Pyro. 1, 2. Yeah, I'm going to put back the Pyro. Well, actually, if we put back DRC, then... No, we've got to have DRC out. What are we doing? They're going to have some combination of a win con, because they should assume that we're smart enough to always mill, or always mull to a win con. So they're going to have, you know, the win plus some sort of like backup win con. Or they'll just have like a Thoughtseize. But you just have to mull to 4. That's just, or you just have to keep mulling until you find it. Like I wouldn't necessarily mull to 3. But we had reasonable hope that we would find a interaction spell there. So I'm going to start by pondering here. And I'm going to hope to find a Daze is the best card we can find here. This is not good enough. I'll put it in my yard. There's a second force. I think we just attack for 1 and we draw the second force. That way, if they Thoughtseize, they can't take it from us. And then we'll draw the Consign next turn. And we're just going to like be extremely slow, but we're going to beat them down. Consign is not a good draw. Like I'll draw it as a blue card to pitch the force. If I have double force up, I'm feeling a lot better if they go for it. So hopefully we get one more turn. We're not applying a lot of pressure, but every time we attack, it just slightly reduces the likelihood of them being able to successfully go off. They'll hit their fail rate a little more likely. Like they may go from like an 80%, deterministic kill to like a 65 over the course of like 2 or 3 attacks. And this is what you hope. You hope they're spinning their wheels on cards like Metamorphosis that potentially diminish their gemstone mines. Yeah, that's fine. We're going to probably get a 2-for-1 here. They've got 4 mana. They could sack this, Beseech. Yep, and that's a force. Do you have a force of your own? A pact? Keep this there. They do have the pact. Wow. So much fun. All right, whatever. Let's just get it over with. Either you win or you don't. Like, it's just so frustrating. I'm sorry. But, like, anyway. So here's a situation where I think we made all the right decisions. We were disciplined. We played the numbers. And we lost. And I do believe that this is like a 70-30 matchup and that this is just like, you sometimes encounter situations like this. So I'll just let you know whether they win or not. And if they win, that's pretty expected when they have 21 cards in their hand. If they somehow are not able to win from here, that will be kind of like not like the most celebratory thing, but it'll at least keep the win streak alive. We won. I don't know what happened. It's frustrating. My opponent said they should not have played Metamorphose. No worries. Good luck. Yeah. So again, like Hatteraxi, I don't want to sound salty or anything, but like I wish Wizards would quit printing cards like Pact of Negation, which I know is like a 15-year-old card at this point, but like, what were they expecting? Like that's just gonna enable like more degenerate combo strategies. And then when you have, Born Upon a Wind, like it's a cool card, but like it is going to be abused by combo decks. So I don't want to make you think that I'm like just anti Storm decks or something like that. Like I think Storm is great. I think it's a great archetype, but I'm not in favor of Oops All Spells and Necrodominance and decks that just make it like practically impossible to meaningfully interact. We got lucky there. Frankly, like them drawing that many, like we just hit their fail rate. So I'm going to try to be a gracious in victory, right? Because that's what I expect of my opponents. And so I apologize if I came across as overly salty there. All right, let's go to the next round. And to be completely clear, I would have basically said the same thing after the game ended. Like I don't like, even if it didn't end in our favor, I'm not proud of like constantly whining about these things, but yeah, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? That old saying, like my opponents are doing things that are legal within the rules of Magic. And when you sign up to play Legacy, you sign up for the good and the bad. I just wish there was less bad. That's all. All right. Round 4, we're up against Schmeckles. All right. The most recent result, Eldrazi, which is a deck that we are gunning for. Look at this hand. I think we keep. We don't have like a quick early threat, but I just relish the notion of bolting them a lot. We do have a lot of mana sources. All right, Ayabugan is going to draw the Wasteland, and we're going to play again. Hopefully they don't have 2 eyes. Sometimes that happens. Murktide is a great rip. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hope to hit them a whole bunch with the bolts, fill up our yard, and then Murktide, and hope that they can't remove Murktide in time. They do have the Bouncy Boy that puts him back in your hand. That's annoying. They also have the Kozilek's Command that can exile, but it takes tons of mana. And they have Devourer of Destiny, which they did not reveal. Okay, so I think I'm just going to start bolting them. I'm going to use my less flexible bolts first. they're probably going to be like, are you on burn? Like, why are you playing Chain Lightning in 2024? Because it's freaking awesome. And 2024 is almost over. So pretty soon I'll be playing Chain Lightning in 2025. Sorry. I don't know how contrarian this decision is, but I love it. Like this card has been great for me. And I just love the feel. Glaring Fleshraker. We could Daze it or we could just bolt it. I think we just bolt it and keep the Daze as a surprise. They could unload a whole bunch of stuff here, but they don't, which is great. Okay, Bauble fills our yard. So I'm just going to play this out. I'm going to bolt this bird, because I guess technically it is a mana-producing creature. I'm going to play this out. I'm going to go ahead and use it just to get deeper and increase the likelihood of finding a force effect. Chalice of the Void on top. We're going to dodge it by casting our lightning bolt. Don't draw a 1-drop, please, deck. I mean, we can always just cast the bolt into the chalice. I'll be happy if they spend a turn chalicing here, because we're going to have a Murktide soon. We can technically Daze chalice. Yeah. My opponent said, you have officially Chain Lightning me more in 2 minutes than my last month combined. Okay. So we're going to draw here. Okay. Second Daze. Not bad. Now I do think that we can go ahead and Daze if they don't have a land. But if they do have a land and they play the, what's it called? The Chalice of the Void, then yeah. Because I mean, Murktide will be like slightly bigger. It'll be another thing we can exile and we'll still have Daze up. Do we double Daze it? I don't think we do. Okay. Here is, I'm going to go ahead and, I don't think we double Daze this. If we double Daze it, then like future bolts are live. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah. Do I want to get rid of this? I think I do. No, because we can't Murk next turn if we do. I think we just have to chill. We can always bounce it out of play if we need to. But our Murk is going to be 6/6, which is almost enough to get it done in 2 turns, 2 attacks. I like the idea of Murking and then having potential double Daze up for some other really scary thing that they do. Now, I am kind of wishing that I'd done it, but I'll just exile 1, 2. Wait, we're going to leave the artifact. I do think we make this a big Murk. There's a temptation to not go full Murk, but like we want to do as much damage as we can as quickly as possible. The thing that would make me saddest would be like a Cavern, probably. Other than that, I think we're probably doing all right. Okay, Cavern. So we are sad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are not in Devourer of Destiny mode yet, but they are getting close. They can potentially exile our lands. Okay, they're not kicking it, so that is okay. We can't do anything about it. They can search for a Wasteland. They are being very correct. Sometimes people like waste me immediately while this is still on the stack. Then I can Daze, but no, they're not going to do that. Yep. So our opponent is playing tight, but they are on slightly longer than 2 turn clock. Land would be a good draw. Even a Wasteland wouldn't be that bad. Okay, another land. I'm going to play it out. Go and attack. We have like just a final burst of activity. Depending on what they do here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They do have Devourer of Destiny up, unfortunately. This is kicked. Sowing Myco Spawn? No, it's Devourer of Destiny. And we can't interact at all. That is very sad, friends. Very sad indeed. Do we want to go ahead and Daze just to get it out of our hands so we can do a second Murktide sooner? Okay. Hear me out. This sounds crazy, but I think this is the play. We go ahead and we Daze. And then we... Because Daze is a terrible card right now anyway. I just want it in my yard. And then I'm also going to Daze back. And then if we draw one of many cards, we can Murk. This may seem crazy, but I do think it is a viable line here. We have to think like Delver players here. Not like, value control gamers. How are we going to win before they win? We're going to get another Murk out. That's why we're going to do it. Here's the 3. So we have 3 turns because they attack for 3, then they attack for 9, and then they attack. Yeah. So we get technically 2 more turns. If we have to fetch, my opponent said, "Ooh, I'm about to get price." Probably in the next game. DRC is a pretty bad rip. I mean, I think sadly we just cycle it because we do want to get the Murk out, but we're going to die before. I mean, I could just bounce the Devourer. Maybe that's the play. We bounce Devourer and then we get one more look at Murk. They have to, but they may just hold Devourer at that point. So if we cast DRC into the Void, then we do have enough, but it's just a 5/5 and it can't actually, let's see. They attack for 9 next turn. We drop to 7. And then the following turn, we could borrow this and survive. But if we borrow it, then they can recast it and exile again. We could borrow this, and then we take 1, and we take 6, and we drop to 1. So, okay, they attack for 9. We're at 7. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's not really anything we can do. Okay, so what we could do is potentially like wait till the last second, borrow end step the Chalice, and then we have 2 bolts. That could do it. But we're definitely not casting the Borrower this turn, which means we are casting the DRC. Now the other option is we end step borrow. We play this out. There won't be enough types for this to be very big. It'll just be a chump blocker for this. Yeah, and I don't like doing that anyway because we want to be casting a Murktide. So I am going to cast this into the Void. All right. So there are not very many cards that we can draw that can win us the game. But I'm going to try. Oh no, are they going to exile our graveyard or exile more stuff? It looks like they might be. All right, we're going to concede. Yeah, we have a positive matchup. I'm convinced that this is a very positive matchup. They didn't reveal Devourer, so I didn't expect Devourer, so I thought we were going to be able to get another hit in. Okay, so Consign's coming in. Price is coming in. So some options. One, we just take out the Force of Will, and then we just have Daze, which, yeah, I don't know about that. I kind of like, they can play carefully around Daze. I actually think maybe we take out a Force too. Borrower serves an important function in being able to bias tempo and also being an attacker. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it like that. I think last time what I did, instead of taking out a Force, was I took out a Ponder. But I think that's more of a draw thing. Yeah, I'm going to do it like that. Forcing them is pretty bad because like almost everything, the only thing you really want to be able to force is the Kozilek's command. Because everything else has like an ET on cast trigger. ETC. What is it? OC on cast. All right, this is a price hand. We have Ponder to look for something. I definitely think this is a keep, and we just hope that they don't open Wasteland, and then we hope that our Ponder finds a land. They are generally a 4 Wasteland deck, I think. This is insane. This is like really good. We're not going to waste next turn. We're almost certainly going to want to deploy the Channeler and hold up Consign, and then we can fetch if we absolutely need to. So yeah, I think I am going to keep these. I'll keep these in this order. We'll draw the, yeah. So definitely going to pitch Murk at this point, probably if we have to force something in emergency. Once upon a time. I'm not going to counter that. It may be worth dazing in some situations. Pokemoki, when I played with him, he was like, oh, wait, stop, daze that. And it was too late because I just assumed, like, why would you interact with this? Interact with what comes out of it. Thought Seer. Lotus Petal, okay. Go all in on something that I can force, please. And then I'll just waste you. And then, yeah, this is a force. We've got a lot of 1-drops in our deck, including the 1-drop that we're about to drop. So I definitely don't want to shuffle away this Wasteland if I can avoid it. But I do want to be able to consign something to protect this because this can do some damage while we're waiting for them to deploy more lands. Also, I don't really want to hit the Ancient Tomb when Price of Progress is a very legit win con. They do have Thought-Knot Seer, which I will Counter the trigger on. Another one. Sadly, I think we do need to counter this. I am not going to play scared with my... I'm not going to go get basics. That's a great rip. I don't think we want it. It's crazy, but I think what we want is... We want them to have a lot of lands in play so that we can kill them. Yeah, I mean, that might seem totally crazy, but I realize that they do have Thought-Knots here and they'll likely rip the price out of our hands, but I kind of want to price them before that because they're probably going to play one more land before they do that. Maybe I'm approaching this the wrong way. Chain Lightning is great. I'm going to Chain Lightning here and see if we can get Delirious. Creature to put in the graveyard would be the best possible. Force, I think, goes in the graveyard at this point. Like, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to Brainstorm to protect the price and give them something else. There's also a chance that when I Brainstorm, I somehow turn on Delirium so I can do more damage. But they're definitely on the trail. Like, they mentioned price specifically over here. And why wouldn't you be playing like 4 prices, right? The price is right. Here comes... Oh, they're going to waste. Are they going to waste first? Don't exile my lands. Okay. I'm just going to Brainstorm with this on the stack. See if we can get Delirious. I mean... I feel like I'm playing with fire if I don't keep this because they have a Wasteland. Also, I can put this in my hand. Yeah, I can put this in my hand, and it has to be a non-land card. Okay, great. Oh, no. I'm still going to have a non-land card. Well, what do we do here? Yeah, we're not going to be hitting them this turn, unfortunately. I think what we do is we let them take the Ponder. We let them take the Brainstorm. We're not going to be able to hit them. We don't want to shuffle away this land just because they have the Wasteland out. Sorry, I'm being so indecisive. Ponder is definitely more useful here. So I'm going to let them take the Brainstorm. They're going to be like, what's more important than a late game Brainstorm? You must have something hiding. And I do. I am going to go ahead and Ponder here, but I can't dump it, unfortunately. But I'm just going to float it on the top, and I'm going to try to see if I can find something else that I can use in the meantime. Chain Lightning is great. Oh, I can Chain Lightning the Bauble into the graveyard. And this should give me Delirium. So then I can hit them for 3. And then they're definitely dead. Like, even if they waste their own land. Well, no, if they waste their own land, they're not dead. But they're not going to get rid of my DRC as they're spending time wasting their own land. All right, price on the top. They could double Wasteland us. But then, of course, they're probably not playing something that deals with my DRC. They can't tap the tomb anymore. I think we may have threaded the needle, folks. Now they can no longer get rid of enough lands with their Wasteland to survive. So I think it's like basically a deterministic win unless they have some way of gaining life, which I don't think they do. Oh no, they're exiling our spell. They're exiling our lands. Oh, what's this do? It says reach. That's fine. Yeah, I don't think that this wins. They can block our creature, but we're still going to price them. Yeah, Price of Progress is such a good card. All right, so we have price on top, I believe. Yep, I didn't screw that up. Thank goodness. Let's just go ahead and hit them. We will just... oh, yeah, we'll keep that on top too, just in case they somehow survive this. All right, that is a good card. That is what I call a very good card for the meta right now. Yeah, and I beat Eldrazi. Well, yeah, I will spoil it. I think I actually spoiled it in the actual description from the video I published yesterday. But Eldrazi is very weak to red. And instead of complaining about Eldrazi, everybody's going to be complaining about Eldrazi for the next few months until March when hopefully something gets banned out of it. Don't wait for the ban. Just, don't get mad, get even. Right? Get your revenge with the Price of Progress. Any changes here? I think we take out a Ponder since they, clearly have probably 4 of those in their deck, the Chalice that we saw. I think we do bring in a force here. Other than that, everything feels fine. The Bauble did help us get Delirium. The Chain Lightnings have been great. Yeah. And remember when my opponent said, am I about to get priced? And I said, next game probably. Haha. Just want to add that it is possible that it's correct to bring in Force of Negation here, but it hits so few cards in their deck. It doesn't feel right. This is a hand that just totally crumples if they have turn 1. But it's such a good hand otherwise. I'm going to keep it. And if they waste me, they waste me. Like you sign up for this when you sign up to play Delver, in my humble opinion. Because if we are able to Misty Rainforest into DRC, into Bauble, then we have like a very bright future ahead of us. This is it. They have the Chalice. Okay, interesting. Do they not have the Chalice? All right. Gosh, that's spooky. That definitely gives me Chalice vibes. But why wouldn't they play the Chalice if they had it? You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make any sense. They are doing like the larger curve stuff. I just can't imagine why they wouldn't play it there. I think it's pretty free for us to just consign their first spell. I do want to get the Delvers cooking. Okay, maybe the correct thing to do is go ahead and get the Delver flipped. And we have a decent shot at doing it. I'm going to go ahead and get the island here. And I'm going to hope that they're not able to exile our basic island, which would be super frustrating. And it happens all the time. Yeah. And we're going to go ahead and play this out. And then what we'll do is during their turn, during their upkeep, I'm going to set a stop there. And we're going to take a look at their card before they draw it. And we're going to, be able to do the Delver trick. Oh, wait, we're supposed to look at our card. I'm going to go ahead and look at our card. Yeah, I've made that mistake several times. It is like kind of an counterintuitive thing. Okay, so we know we want to draw that card before we do the Delver trick, before we let Delver resolve. Wow, they don't have anything. Okay, this is great. Okay, so we want to have this go on the stack first so that this resolves first. So we draw, and now we get a chance to flip something good. Another Volcanic Island. No, I'm not going to reveal that. Draw. All right. Here, I think we could just double Delver. I think I'm going to do that. I've got so much land. I'm not worried about them going after our lands anymore. I'm going to be aggressive here. To my knowledge, they don't have anything instant speed that stops this. I'm going to attack. We just have to do enough damage to them as quickly as possible before they're able to do like that giant creature, whatever it was called, 7/5 with reach. That's a nightmare for us. And the fact that they're playing that belies a certain amount of awareness of where the meta's heading. That is fine if that's what they're going to do here. Scooby K command. Yeah, that's fine. I'm actually like happy they targeted that one because the Delvers could very well flip here. We do have a pretty good instant sorcery ratio. Actually, I don't think it's changed at all post-board. No! More land! No! Okay. So I am going to attack here. I'm going to also keep a land out that's unflipped. It probably was worth brainstorming there. That was probably a punt on my part. Because if we'd flipped both of these, that would have been really good. What I can do, though, next turn is I can get a perfect brainstorm if I want, but there's not any instant or sorcery that I want to shuffle away. I want to shuffle away lands. I think I just consign this. I'm just going to consign it. They're going to be able to get a Chalice. Well, I'm going to go ahead and brainstorm now. And we're going to put back the 1-drops. So what I can do is I can reveal this and then I can shuffle it away. I think it's better to actually keep the lands. And I am going to be doing a lot of damage to myself fetching these. Yeah, I'll do like that. Oh no. I was supposed to put back the Ponder. That was so bad. I'm so sorry, my excellent friends. That was a horrifically bad play. So now I basically have to go get the land here because I know it's not going to flip. Also, my kids just got home, if you hear the piano. Okay, hopefully these flip anyway, despite my incompetence. Yes. Yes, flip. Flip, my darlings. All right, yeah, and this would be the shuffle to get rid of the bolt. But instead, I'm sitting here like a fool with like 2 cards in my hand that don't need to be in my hand. I'd much rather have lands here. I'm going to play this out, and I'll pass. Okay, they are devouring one of them. That represents quite a clock. They also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're close to being able to search for a second devourer. I think it's actually fine to fetch here. Let's see. It's not going to change their clock. And I'm not going to be able to brainstorm stuff back anyway. I want to maximize the likelihood of finding like a Brazen Borrower. Okay, more cards that are bad. Yeah, I just brought this all upon myself. Like, I really punted. Just that tiny little punt of not putting back the Ponder. Because I could have put it back, revealed it. You know, I would just have... I guess I just have a bunch of lands in hand anyway. It doesn't really matter that much, but psychologically, I'm trying not to be tilted at my own, foolishness. Float. Make them think I have price. This is fine. I'm actually like totally on board with this. Oh no. 3rd Wasteland. Yeah, that's okay. We lose the mana. We're winning this race if they don't have a way to exile it. Okay. At this point, does it make sense to bolt here just to feed Murktide so Murktide can be big enough to kill them? I think it does. No, I'll just do it with the Brainstorm instep. Because I want to hold the bolt just in case. Yeah, we don't have a sorcery in the yard. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this now. Just trigger that Chalice. Chalice check. On MTGO, it handles it for you. Yeah, they could have... Kozilek's Command. Another card that can't do anything, unfortunately. This really just comes down to what the last card in their hand is. I'm going to play this out. I'm exposing it in case they have, Wasteland number 4. They can take me off it. Whoa, we got there. We got there. Holy cow. Despite my mistake. Yeah, we got lucky and our Delver flipped even though I screwed up. Yeah, it didn't really matter in the end. Actually, it had 0 consequence because we never used any of this mana anyway. So me getting all tilted for no reason, it's just it's not enough for me to win. I have to play tight is what I'm saying. I just got lucky there, frankly. All right, let's go to the final round. We're 4-0. I want to point out that all of these have been scraps, right? None of these have been easy. The worst of all was definitely Beseech, where we just got lucky and they hit the fail rate. Again, probably happens maybe 20% of the time. And versus Eldrazi, we just got lucky and they didn't have the, I feel like Eldrazi is such a favorable matchup. And I feel glad that both times I faced it now I've won. But we'll see what happens, what this final round has in store for us. Well, guess what? More turn 0 combo. Okay, we'll see what happens here. But I am not optimistic. They've been playing a lot of Oopsal spells, including today, I think. Yeah. So we're about to have another really quick match. This is a force hand, but it doesn't have a blue card. I think it would be foolhardy to keep it. We could bauble and then hope to draw a force, but come on. Oh, what are the chances they don't go for it here? I'm going to mulligan. This is a Daze. It's better than nothing. I'm going to keep, and I'm just going to hold up Brainstorm and Daze. We're going to hope to get through this first turn. I think Chain Lightning goes back. Chain Lightning is a way to remove if they get that 1 card. And they don't have the mana to activate it for some reason. But I feel like that's, we need blue cards. So I think we do wait until turn 2 to deploy the Delver. They're mulling to 5, which means they're going to need a pretty strong critical mass of spells to be able to get through this. And when I say get through this, it's just a Daze, but they don't have a lot of material to work with. Games 2 and 3, we are going to have the... Please don't play anything. Just tapped. Okay. It's actually kind of bad for us that they didn't go for it there because it gets worse for us if they have more mana. I think here we just Volk, Delver. get on board. We're not going to be able to brainstorm and shuffle stuff back away, unfortunately, because we're going to have to move too quickly. But if they do take a few turns to set up, like sometimes, like they are kind of like priced into keeping. Okay, they shocked. So this is probably going to be the turn. Yep. Don't thoughts of me. Oh no, they have even more. Yep. Right, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to brainstorm here. This is the fight. If they have reanimate as a follow-up, we have that covered with the Daze. Holy guacamole. Yeah, we're going to shuffle that away for sure. We'll draw that. Well, we'll just go like that. A lot of times they will have like a, reanimate. Like it's just like a one of. Actually, we're not safe from reanimate now because they have mana in addition to that. All right. I was so freaking focused on just surviving the turn. I didn't even think about, I don't think we had anything left for Delver anyway. I do think we want to shuffle this away rather than waste them. Yeah, I think that's the play. I don't want to draw this dead card. And then I'll waste them the following turn. Because our top card is just another land. Okay. Upkeep. We're going to go and shuffle first. We already know it's not going to be a hit on the Delver. Get another Volk. Flip. Mishra's Bauble. No, I don't want to reveal it. I'll draw it. I'll use it next turn to do the bubble trick. Because I think it's worth... Yeah, I'm just going to bubble myself. I'm going to do the trick. Because we might get into a place where... Oh, they're going for something here. They have 1 mana. I'm just going to hardcast this so I don't have to bounce. It doesn't really matter. Do you have the Spirit Guide? Holy cow, we're still alive. Bauble ourselves. Wasteland on top. So we want to draw that and then do the trigger. Trigger goes on the stack first. So Bauble is triggered first. It's so counterintuitive. I still struggle with that to this day. Okay, do we have a Bolt? Yes, we want to reveal that. Okay. Now they know exactly the composition of our hand. We're not going to hold back. We're just going to hit them hard. I will hold the Bolt just in case they have like the Undercity Informer again somehow, like land into him. I want to be able to bolt him before they can go off. It's unlikely that they draw 2 of those. I'm just going to hold the Bolt. We've got 2 more attacks. Actually, they're dead now. Wow. Gosh, this was a hell of a game. Like, my nerves, man. And they know that we have the Bolt in our hand, so they can concede now. Yeah. Well, game 1 against Oops. Mull to 4. Every single decision we made there was important. I actually think the fact that we flipped Bolt meant that like they wouldn't have been able to win off the Undercity Informer. We didn't know that at the time when we dazed. But, I mean, it was 100% correct to Daze. I don't want to fall for result-oriented thinking. Okay, so here, these come in. Consign's pretty bad, but it is a blue card to pitch to force. Yeah. I mean, like, I hate to say it because I used to always say, like, don't play force of negation. It's not worth playing because, it's just like you're pitching cards and, like, you've already got your forces, just mull to them, be disciplined. But nowadays, there's so much combo that you have to play it. You have to play it. You have to, 2-for-1 yourself repeatedly throughout a game to be able to stay alive. Okay, so chain lightnings are definitely coming out. I think we take out the bolts. We'll take out 3 of the 4 bolts. Yeah, this is not a super powerful card here. This game, like the last league, I only had 2 cages, but now I'm drawing to 3, which makes me like for game 3, that's going to be a lot more relevant than this one. But I will still put them in because, I mean, it does shut the door and make it way harder for them to win. Grafdigger's Cage, we have to mull this. It's a heartbreaker, but you can't rely on them not going for it. If they don't go for it, we win. They've already mulliganed, though. I suspect they're going to mull to a force. This is a much more safer hand. We're going to keep everything but the land. And we're going to open Dragon Rage Chandler, and we're going to hope the consign has text on it somehow. they Thoughtseize turn 1, we can potentially DRC, or we probably just hold up, consign. Gosh, I hope they don't put us in that dilemma. Okay, no play turn 1. That's good for us. I don't like this, but I do think we keep the mana up. We've got Force, we've got Consign. Worst case scenario, we can like end step Bolt. Wow, they don't have any play. I think we just Bolt. Yeah, I mean, like I would like to get a perfect Brainstorm, but that's not like the high priority here. We want to end the game quickly. This is a great pickup. I think what we can do here is we can just deploy the DRC and get the clock going. What we want to do is next turn we want to Brainstorm and we want to find Grafdigger's Cage. Okay, playing it tapped. That's good for us. Means we get another turn. Wasteland is a great pickup. I think I do want to go ahead and Brainstorm here. I mean, there's not really anything I want to put back, but it increases the likelihood of getting Delirium, which increases our clock. That can definitely go in the graveyard. Ponder would not be a bad find, but we can't cast it this turn. I want to keep our shields up. Ponder is here. Double Wastelands. I think we put back Consign Wasteland. Is that right? Yeah, I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to play out the Wasteland. I'm going to waste them, and I'm going to be disciplined and keep up both Consign / Brainstorm for another turn. And then next turn we can Ponder, and then we'll hit them for 3. And we'll have another Wasteland if they play a land. Another land. Played it tapped. You'd love to see it. All right. Let's go ahead and start with this Ponder. I don't want this. I think we can do better. Yeah, I think these are good cards. I think I just want to take the Delver, which will likely be the pitch to Force. Or we could just take Bauble, and we could bin the Delver. I think it's fine. So the way I'm going to stack it is I'm going to go Ponder, Delver, Bauble. Now I'm going to play this. I'm going to waste them again. Play this. I'm going to bin the Delver. Go ahead and take a look at their deck. Simian Spirit Guide. Okay, that's good to know about. We're going to go to combat. Right. We're passing. We get a card. It is our Ponder. They're passing again. Another DRC. I am going to start by pondering, I think. Again, if I can find the spell, I don't think we need land. We're just looking for the second Force is great. Yeah, I'm going to take the second Force and then I'll fetch away the other stuff. Wow. Oh, man. My heart is like racing. Like, I really want this trophy. We're going to hit with double Force. I think we do play out the second DRC just to reduce the clock by 1 turn. Now they know that they can Consign us off. It doesn't actually reduce the clock by... yeah, it does. Because next turn... yeah, it reduces it by like almost 2 turns. I think we let this happen. And we just hope that they don't have the win. They could potentially overpower us, but they need a lot of stuff. They exile the Poxwalkers. They took the Force, which means they do have some sort of game plan here. They put that in play tapped, which means they're not going to go immediately. Next turn, we're going to have Consign and Force up. That's a bad draw. It makes me want to Brainstorm. I'm going to go ahead and Brainstorm now. That goes in the yard. That goes in the yard. Wait. Is this useful? No, this isn't useful because it's an extra trigger, but we won't get the card until the following turn. So I'll just put this in the yard. Okay, please give us the Grafdigger's Cage. We found it. Oh my goodness. All right, let's put that back. Let's put that back. We could technically keep up both Consign and Force if we do it like this. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't think that they can win anymore. Yeah, we did it. Picked apart combo 2-0 on this this fair day, stopping the turn 0 decks in their tracks. I do not believe that this is as good against turn 0 combo as the other deck, but the ability to dig aggressively for Grafdigger's Cage made a huge difference here. Wow. Like, I'm not sure what my pulse is. Actually, I'm going to take my pulse real quick, just manually. Okay, my pulse is only 74 beats per minute, which is like totally reasonable for like a 44-year-old man who's like, you know, in decent shape. I'm not like Olympic athlete or anything like that. I'm like, I go to the gym several times a week. But like, I definitely felt like this anxiety, even if it's not reflected in my pulse, being like 100, it definitely felt like, wow, this like, you know, the hair standing up. Actually, I don't know if the hair is standing. Okay, so there's not like some psychosomatic response, but that was exhilarating is what I'm trying to say. That was an absolute blast. So I've played 10 rounds with this deck and I've won 9 of them. That is a testament to how good this deck is right now. I do believe that blue-white Stifle Knot is probably better against combo. But this is a totally fine choice. Like the ability to dig for Grafdigger's Cage. Let's take a look at the list again. Wow. We got lucky. Hatteraxi, shout out to you. Thanks for I guess like having your deck hit your fail rate if you're watching this and letting us get this trophy, because I definitely felt like we lost that one. And also Schmeckles, despite my sloppy play, like winning anyway, force gumping that one. It's cool. Mr. Magooing it. Like, let's take a look at the list. Dead simple list. But how many times did Chain Lightning come up? This is a good card. Could this be a preordain? Yes, it could be a preordain. And in fact, you might consider doing a split of like 1 preordain, 3 Chain Lightning. But like it really showed in how frequently we got Delirium. The sheer volume, 24 non-creature, non-land cards that could flip our Delver. That really showed up in how frequently we flipped our Delver. It is not a trivial thing to flip a Delver. You just, you know, it's not. People act like Delver should always flip, and it feels like Delver's always flipping when it's on the other side of the table, but it actually will usually only flip like one. Let's take a quick look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to blue-white. I'm going to go back to 2023, back before Expressive Iteration was banned, when the blue-red Delver decks of the world just ran free. Who's going to ride your wild horses, Delver decks? And I think this is loading, and I will show you just how infrequently, or like how much they had to lean into having, you know, what the heck is going on? Come on. Don't tell me my internet went down. Fast.com. This is owned by Netflix. It'll give you a true, you know, estimation of your internet speed. It's not 750 like it was the other day, but it's still pretty fast. I guess their site is just tanking for some reason on like this query. All 2023 decks. Okay, there we go. And we can see blue-red aggro was 45% of the meta. Or I'm sorry, 5% of the meta. Initiative Stompy was, this is like when Initiative was king and Delver was like trying to like people were actually rooting for Delver decks during this period of time. But both of them got banned. Expressive Iteration got banned, which was too good of a card. And White Plume Adventurer got banned. Ironically, if White Plume Adventurer were like legal in the Rescaminator kind of era, like, you know, I imagine Rescam would have won. And it's really interesting to me that Rescaminator was technically possible for a very long time. Like ever since Grief was printed, people could have played Rescaminator, right? But they didn't. And then one day people figured out, oh, if we just, okay, let's take this Patrick Owens. Or wait, like this Fumiya Matsumoto. Okay, we're going to go down memory lane. MTGO is super slow. So let's take a look at how many other spells they had. Actually, we can get an average. Other spells, 29. Wait, is that right? 12, 19, 29? Okay. Other spells includes Mishra's Bauble, though. So you can see that like some people would go 28, which is 24. Like technically, this person went all the way down to 25. But once you start going like below 28 total non-creatures, and again, the baubles don't flip, so they don't count. But if you look at like, let's look at like this gentleman, Fumiya. I think, Fumiya is a male Japanese name. I hope that doesn't come across too presumptive. I've never met a woman named Fumiya. Okay, so let's take a look at this list. 3 days. This is pretty contrary. Big Magic, really cool shop in Harajuku. If you get a chance to visit, they probably have locations other places too. Harajuku is where all the people dress up like really fancy. Okay, so 1 Borrower, 4 Delvers, 4 DRCs, 3 Murktide, Sprite Dragon, spicy. That was what you did back before. I mean, like all the creatures we're playing are legal now. They just didn't want to go 4 Murktide for some reason, and they didn't want to go 2 Borrower. But if you look, Ren's Resolve. This was post Expressive Iteration. People would tinker with these cards, which I think largely people have abandoned playing cards like Predict and stuff. If we go back a little bit farther to an event a little bit earlier, I'm not sure how to go back and look. But okay, I made my point. We don't have to look. So, by the way, this is a cool tweet. Michael Reed, Doomsday Gamer. This is the current meta from like a recent challenge from like 2 days ago. Nadu combo is at Delver. Okay, wikis. I actually want to see what wiki's playing. I'll see if I can pull that. But you can see like mono red stompy. Like this is a lot of format diversity. Of course, Oops is there. Just 1 Oops. Okay. Dimir Reanimator still very strong. Don't count it out. Don't remove your sideboard. Your sideboard cards for Reanimator yet. All right, I believe this is the list. Wiki came in second place. 7-2 finish, very strong at an MTGO challenge. Again, this is like it's so much harder to get second at an MTGO challenge than it is at a like 43 player paper event. Like this is like basically the creme de la creme from around the world playing in those. So just take that as a note. Like you'd be like, oh, I get 7-2 all the time. First of all, I'll be very impressed if you have local tournaments that have 9 rounds. That means a lot of people are playing. But let's take a look here. Double Borrower, Delver, DRC, 3 Murktide, 2 Questing Druid. So the deck is very similar to ours. 2 Unholy Heat, which I think Unholy Heat is not necessary, frankly. If you have 2 Brazen Borrower, then you have 2 answers to Murktide, and you have your own Murktides that can potentially be larger than your opponent's Murktide. Unholy Heat really is just, I guess maybe this could hit some reanimated, but if your reanimator opponent actually gets a monster into play, like Archon of Cruelty, I believe is a 6/6, technically you can hit Archon of Cruelty and kill it, but you probably lost that game already anyway. I just don't think, and one of the problems with Unholy Heat is it doesn't always have a target. Chain Lightning always has a target. You can always bolt your opponent's face. There's a Preordained. So again, playing like the cheap spells that you can cast off Questing Druid. I might try a Questing Druid build. I'm just not sure that it's worth like diluting the mana base. Like we're able to play, slightly better mana than they are, because it may not seem like a big deal. Like we're playing a fetch in the place of the Tropical Island, but that makes a big difference. Like we're not randomly drawing Tropical Island and not being able to do anything turn 1. Like we always want to be able to do stuff turn 1. And I think like having a single island in the deck that can't tap for red, it's not that big of a deal, really. Is what I'm saying. Like it is a really big deal if you're drawing something that can be wasted and doesn't even tap for a relevant color, unless like very specific conditions have been met, in which case you get this 1/1 that can potentially grow and stuff like it. To me, this card has always kind of felt win more. I do own a playset, and I've got the cool storybook version of it, and I would like for it to be good, but I remain unconvinced. I think the simplicity, I think people are always overcomplicating things. Like Wiki is an extremely experienced Delver player. Wiki, if you're watching this and you want to come on, I would love to have you play this. But my general sensibilities at this point are keep it simple and consistent and things like that. And maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's just me being compulsive and not being open-minded to, running like 2 ofs that warp your mana base and stuff like that. But like this, just everything's a 4 of, right? Except for Brazen Borrower. Everything is a 4 of. And I like that simplicity. So I could talk about this all day. Price of Progress showing up. Like the fact that we drew the second Price of Progress after the first, that was just the icing on the cake. Having the extra blasts, it feels good. Again, like don't play Red Elemental Blast if you have access to 4 Pyroblasts. I just did that as a cheap thing because I'm a cheapskate and I didn't want to buy more. and Force of Negation. Don't leave home without it. Like, I really do feel like with the amount of turn 0, like we played 5 games there. 2 of them were against turn 0 combo. And again, I'll differentiate. Turn 0 is like oops all spells. It's Hypergenesis. It's some sort of like Belcher type deck that like plans to try to win immediately. Whereas, more like Mono Blackstorm, we did play against that, but that's like a traditional, like almost like I'd argue like a fair deck by comparison, because it's trying to win through like Bowmasters and, Urza Saga constructs and stuff like that. You could call the Epic Gamble more of a turn 0 deck, but I wouldn't consider Mono Blackstorm to necessarily be a turn 0 deck. Turn 0 being like, if you don't even get a turn before they win. The last thing that I'll say is, Consign to Memory, still really good in a lot of matchups. I do think 3 is good. I think we're glad that we were able to find the Grafdigger's Cage and close the door that final game. Maybe it wouldn't have mattered. But, never count your opponent out. If you want to see an example of an oops player threading the needle and just winning out of nowhere when we thought there was zero possibility, Pokemoki and I played against Bob Buttons, who's a very skilled Bug Beans player who's recently switched to the dark side and is wielding oops all spells. And we had Grafdigger's Cage. I think we had Force. We had like lots of stuff going on, and they still won. And it's just insane to think that like they could still win when we have Grafdigger's Cage and we have a Force in hand. But they did find a way. It was a playing out a Thassa's Oracle from hand. We just didn't account for the possibility that they could have their one of Thassa's Oracle in hand, but that totally explained why they were playing still. If you play on leagues, you're going to get a ton of practice playing these decks. Hopefully you won't be as salty as I was after the Necrodominance round. But again, it's hard to be salty when you got the trophy. And this video, if you haven't watched my other video, go watch that too. And point out all the things I do wrong, because I made a lot more mistakes, I think, in that first video than I made in this one. And I did make some mistakes, but I probably made a lot of mistakes that I didn't catch. And that is where you, my most excellent friends, come in, because you can, point these things out like, oh, this is an anti-pattern. Like, you shouldn't be playing this land before you do this, or, you should always like be digging for a wasteland in this circumstance. Like, if you're an experienced Delver player who has a lot of reps, your advice is worth its weight in the gold. I'll just say again, I say it every video, I will never shoot the messenger. Please be as harsh as you need to be, as long as you're civil. I just want to get better at playing Legacy. And I want all the people, all my excellent friends who are tuning in to the Be Excellent channel, to also get better at Legacy. And I hope that I've shown through this video and through some of my other videos that I am getting better, because there was a long time where I just had a total trophy drought. And I've already gotten 4 this season. And I think all 4 of those are up on the channel. So check them out. And until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.